Welcome to the third part, or the third step in my building out the box extreme weather trailer conversion project. And yes, we're going slowly, but we got a really good step done this week. So I'm having somebody look at my trailer to kind of give me an idea about how to do this. This is Wayne. He lives down the street from me. Are you a master builder? Is that what you, master carpenter?
I reckon.
Okay. So you just took a look around. What do you think? So what I'm going to do is I have this on the website. This is my design plan, rough, free for you to download over at jillelizabeth.net. Link below. And I'm going to go over it, show you what the tentative plan is. See you on the other side.
Big project for you.
Is it a big project?
Uh-huh.
Is it realistic?
Sure. Everything's realistic. Of course it is.
I don't think he has much faith in this, but you don't know until you try, right?
Well, you might know before you try, but you know, everything's possible, and you have, the startings of a plan, and so the next thing is to implement it. So.
All right. Well, thank you for coming over and taking a look, and we'll be right back. So it's really divided into two parts, the interior and the exterior. And I got to be honest, the exterior is kind of in wishful thinking mode, but hey, think big or go home. So the inside stuff I'm not going to talk about now. You can see that. That's just the wiring, flooring, welding. I just put it in the order of things that I would do at this point to help build it out. And then the exterior was really, except for a few exceptions, was really where I started to factor in this idea of how I would like to alter it for extreme weather. And the first big thing around that is wind. And if you've watched any of the tornado or hurricane winds, you kind of know that's a big deal. And having lived on this open plain now for a very long time, wind is a huge thing. The simplest guideline I've personally found is that they say 70, 80 mile an hour gusts is when you are potentially likely to tip over. Of course, it can be any time. There's three basic things to consider. You moving in the wind, you stationary in the wind, you stationary, other things coming at you, not stationary in the wind. So those are really the three aspects of wind. And of course, what your trailer is made out of will have direct impact in terms of if things come through. I think I had mentioned before, the old trailer is aluminum, and another piece of aluminum sliced right through that. So the thinner and lighter your material is, the more probability that a projectile will go through. Something to think about. So just as a way of understanding this is I actually went through a lot of data, or as much data as I could find online, and the only consensus I got was there's no consensus. Lots of people have velocity formulas, things like that, but what I found, and then you'd have an insurance adjuster get on and say, yeah, well, but there's other circumstances. So I think the real simple version is the more wind, the scarier it is for you. So you really have to think strategically first about where you're parking, when you're traveling, and the items around you. The takeaway that I've gotten from watching some of the videos on trailers in the wind is there's a couple things that you might want to try with no guarantee that they would work out. One is some people do tie downs, and then also I'm thinking if you knew that wind was going to be directional, like in a hurricane or just a storm, then you could try some kind of bracing, and that means bracing this way so that if it's pushing, it won't flip over. What I saw in a lot of the videos, especially from Harvey, is that the trailers just tipped over and then they were fine. Now some did, some didn't, so there's no rhyme or reason to all of it. But you have to think about rocking motion helps your trailer tip over. A lot of underlift helps your trailer tip over. Big gusts help your trailer tip over, and then obviously 185 mile an hour winds. Sustained wind makes your trailer tip over. So a lot of this you just have to think about in terms of what would really work for you. So that was the first thing I came up with, was probably to do. I have actual tie downs. I have the ability to do that already welded on, and then thinking about some kind of bracing. The next thing is the windows, in terms of not having projectiles come through, and that's actually tied in with hail. And hail, we get a lot of it out here, and when I was reading about the mini ice age, 9 to 11 inch diameter hail. Now, I'm not really sure anybody's coming back from that. This is steel, so it will definitely be more, I think, reinforced than maybe a different kind of trailer, but 11-inch diameter, that's not circumference, that's diameter. That's big hail. So I'm looking not storm window as protection, but more of a covering that's made out of metal. This right here, I have it off because I'm doing some work on the tiny trailer. This gives you light protection, but it's just made out of a very lightweight material, and that's that V shape. So it closes up and down. The benefit to that is that you can get light in, you can get air ventilation in. The storm shutters, when they close, you don't get light or air, and in the summer, I'm telling you, that can be a problem, because even if you have air conditioning, it might go out. The next extreme would be snow. And so my thinking around snow is a couple things. One, obviously insulation. Two big issues. One, the amount of snow on the roof, which obviously if you get too much, you can cause collapse. Two, you need a way to get out, because if your door is on the floor, when it opens, there might be some problem with the door opening in terms of snow on the ground. So I have a natural opening at the top of my trailer, which I'm showing you, and that will be how I can build a way to crawl out of my trailer if there's a lot of snow. And then there's actually a ladder so I can get on the roof and hopefully clean off snow if it's going to be a big problem. But the two biggest issues with snow are the weight and being able to extricate yourself. Also, it's important to have an inside opening door. So most trailer doors open out, or RV doors open out, just because it's a space issue. But if you're blocked by snow, you won't be able to exit because the snow will be blocking. I have had that happen. In addition, I've also had it ice shut. Icing shut's a little bit easier to manage because you can heat up that area and hopefully get it open. Like I just mentioned, hail, that's probably one of the things I'm most concerned about, amount of damage it will do. But in addition to thinking about how big it is and if it's coming through the walls, again, 11 inches, I'm not really sure anybody survives that, it's tremendously loud being in a metal box. So I'm actually looking at doing some kind of soundproofing in addition to the insulation around the roof, at least to try to minimize some of that sound. It is, I tell you, deafening. I'm not sure about the sides. I don't want to lose too much of my space. But something else to think about is soundproofing, because wind and hail are scary sounding. The next thing that's in this extreme weather to can be concerned about is flooding. And I know with my little trailer, it's not watertight. If the door was to get wet, the water would come right in. So it's something to think about as you're looking at your trailer or designing whatever mobile vehicle you want for your home. Is, can you seal the outside so that water can't come in were you to be in a flood environment? And two, you have to think about your weight. I know that it's very important to have it be lightweight, your vehicle, your mobile vehicle, if you're going to be traveling, because obviously it's easier on your engine, it's easier to get up hills, it's better gas mileage, if there is such a thing when you're pulling a trailer. But the other issue is if you're too lightweight, you will float. I guess you could think about making a boat. In terms of thinking of weight, part of what the material inside and outside will contribute to weight. So I wouldn't recommend heavy weight if you're doing a lot of traveling, but in this trailer, it's not my goal to travel a lot. It's just to be able to move my home easily and effortlessly. Which brings me to another thing to consider when you're building out the inside of the box is anytime you're looking at extreme weather, you're also looking at crisis and emergency. So can you pack up and go? That was a huge mistake I made with the old trailer, is that it's basically an apartment that I literally have to pack up from scratch every time I move, which discourages me from moving very often. It is not an RV friendly type of interior. It's cute. It is not practical. My plan with this is to be able to pack up and go in 15 minutes. So if there's an emergency coming, we're not spending a lot of time, finding stuff, getting it together, putting it, locking it down. Last consideration that I really had when I was talking about extreme weather was lightning. And you've heard me talk about that. That's probably the thing I'm most concerned about. Now, I've talked a little bit about grounding the trailer. There's been some misunderstanding about what I actually meant by saying that. I was originally talking about a different kind of grounding, not grounding for a lightning storm. However, this part is about lightning, and I'm going to tell you right now, that's the part I don't have enough information on, so I only left it as a blank right now. I I don't feel comfortable with the information that I've discovered so far to really share that. So that's something I'll be picking up at a later date. But if you know about lightning, please add that to the comments below. And I'll just say that about everything. If you have any insights into any of this that will be helpful, either for yourself, myself, or somebody else, please put that in the comments below. I want this to be a useful open source tool. This is the point where I'm asking for your help, specifically related to building out the box inside and outside, not an interior living situation. I'm going to do that secondary. That'll be the second phase of the project. So that's a quick overview of what I've got in terms of design. What I did is I gave this, I had somebody come over, who's kind of a friend of mine, who I asked him to take a look and give me a rough estimate on budget. So I'm waiting to hear back from him, because that will help me figure out how much I need for each of these projects, and we'll keep going one step at a time. So we've seen a lot of extreme weather, anything from earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, hail, hurricanes. So grand solar minimum or not, extreme weather is part of our environment. And if things do continue to get worse, as they are very likely to do, it's good to be prepared. So that is what we're doing here. We are planning and preparing an extreme weather mobile vehicle with your help. So I want to say thank you for sharing this time with me, and we'll see you next time.